Hey guys, welcome to the 24th C programming tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to continue looking at structs or structures. And in the previous tutorial we basically just made our own struct up here called fraction, and then we created our own fraction variable called myFraction. We set its numerator equal to 1 and we set its denominator equal to 3. Then after that we just printed that fraction out onto the screen using our own function that we created called printFraction. Alright, so now let's just go ahead right here and create another fraction. So whenever you're creating any variable, the first thing that you need to do is write out the type of variable that you're going to be making. In our case, we're going to be creating a fraction. So I'm just going to write out fraction. Then following that, we need to give a name to our variable, and I'll just call this fraction other fraction. Then I'll set this fraction's numerator equal to 4. And then I'll set this other fraction's denominator equal to 3. Alright, so now we basically just have two fractions created right here. One is called myFraction and the other is called other fraction. Now that we have these two fractions created, let's just go ahead and create an array of fractions. So the first step when you're creating any array is writing out the type of data that you're going to be storing inside of your array. We're going to be making a fraction array, so I'm just going to write out fraction. Then following that, I'm going to give a name to my array, and I'll just call it f array, and that f basically just stands for fraction. And then to signify that this is going to be a fraction array, we need to put those two square brackets after the name of our variable. Alright, and then we're just going to set it equal to a set of fractions, and inside of this set of fractions, we're just going to have myFraction, and we're also going to have other fraction. Alright, so now inside of this fraction array called f array, we have two fractions. We have myFraction and other fraction right here. So now let's just go ahead and loop through every single fraction inside of this fraction array, or every single element inside of this fraction array, and print it out onto the screen. So I'm going to say for int I equals 0, since 0 is the lowest index in any array. Then I'm going to want it to loop while I is less than 2, since there are two elements inside of this fraction array right here. And then I'm just going to increment I by 1 each time, so it goes through every single element inside of this fraction array. Then we just want it to print the fraction at the index of I. So we're going to say f array at the index of I. Alright, so basically what this for loop is going to do here is just go through every single fraction in this fraction array called f array and print it out onto the screen using this print fraction function that we made in the previous tutorial. So if I were to run this, we should just get 1/3 and 4/3 out onto the screen. Perfect, there we go. And if I were to just delete all this right here and print the fraction at the index of 0, we should get myFraction out onto the screen, which is 1/3. So if I were to say f array at the index of 0, just print that fraction out onto the screen, we should get 1/3. Perfect. And if I were to print out the fraction at the index of 1, then we should get other fraction right here, since this other fraction is at the index of 1 in our fraction array called f array. Yep, perfect, 4/3. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial, so see you guys.